So in this video, I want to look at the hormones involved in vitro fertilization. So you should know about FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone, which is needed to mature the eggs inside the follicles in the ovary. If someone is going through IVF, what they will need to do is they would need to inject FSH into the body to help to mature several eggs. Now, those several eggs will then need to be harvested, and we know that LH is the hormone which is released to cause ovulation to occur. So if a person is going to inject LH, that should help to release the eggs, and those eggs can then be collected from the ovary, and that can then be placed into either a test tube or into a petri dish. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a fertilized egg cell. So for fertilization to occur, we need to mix these eggs with sperm, and that will hopefully result in fertilization. Now, fertilization will happen to produce a zygote, a fertilized egg cell, when the nuclei fuse together. Now, that zygote will then need to divide by mitosis to produce an embryo, and an embryo is a mass of cells. So once we have an embryo, what can then happen is that embryo can be inserted into the uterus. Now, hopefully that embryo is going to implant itself into the lining of the uterus. Now, if it does implant, then that will cause the embryo to develop into the fetus and for a placenta to grow. Unfortunately, IVF isn't always successful. So if they're going to ask questions about this, they could be looking at the pros and cons for you to evaluate the process. So it's important to note that putting one embryo into the uterus is going to not give as high a success rate as if you were to put multiple embryos into the uterus. But that comes with complications, because if multiple embryos are inserted into the uterus and multiple embryos implant at the same time, that can result in multiple pregnancies, and that in itself causes complications. So make sure you know the pros, the cons, as well as the hormones that are involved.